J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, is in the spotlight tonight as she tries to defend her husband amid the ongoing backlash over his now infamous comments about childless cat ladies. CNN's Brian Todd joins us now with details. And Brian, I know you're taking a closer look at Usha Vance and exactly what she's saying in her first solo interview.
Right, Jim. The Trump campaign is clearly trying to change the narrative over the childless cat lady's comments, and the campaign seems to think that Usha Vance is the right person to put it in context. Tonight, Usha Vance speaking out in a new Fox interview about her husband's now infamous childless cat lady remarks.
I mean, he made a quip, and he made a quip in service of making a point that he wanted to make that was substantive. I just wish sometimes that people would talk about those things and that we would spend a lot less time just sort of going through this three-word phrase or that three-word phrase.
J.D. Vance's controversial comments from a July 2021 interview on Fox, insulting adults without children, drew scorn from Hollywood as well as from conservative outlets.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
Usha Vance's first solo interview comes as the Trump campaign is trying to deflect attention from her husband's remarks and change the narrative.
JD absolutely, at the time and today, would never, ever, ever want to say something to hurt someone who was trying to have a family, who really, was struggling with that. And I also understand there are a lot of other reasons why people may choose not to have families, and many of those reasons are very good.
It's not the first time Usha Vance has confidently stood by her husband politically. During his 2022 run for Senate in Ohio, she took the lead in a campaign ad.
Our family story is an Ohio story. My husband, JD, grew up in Middletown, and things weren't easy. He's an incredible father, and he's my best friend.
That proclivity to be able to comfortably appear with her husband in public contrasts with Melania Trump, who's rarely seen with the former president at public events.
We don't see Melania Trump humanizing her husband. That's really not the role that she's ever played. And so perhaps Usha could be a really big advantage to this campaign. She's young, she's well-spoken, she's successful.
Born Usha Chilukuri in 1986, she was raised in a San Diego suburb by Indian immigrant parents and met J.D. Vance when they both attended Yale Law School. They married in 2014 and have 3 young children, which Usha Vance has balanced with some impressive professional accomplishments. She clerked for 2 Supreme Court justices, Chief Justice John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh when he served on the U.S. Court of Appeals. She recently resigned from a high-powered law firm. In a 2020 podcast, J.D. Vance joked about how tough it is to argue with her at home.
Oh my God, it's terrible. It's just terrible. And she uses so much facts and logic.
During that Fox interview, Usha Vance also seemed to want to clarify reports that she and her husband had privately condemned Donald Trump before Trump selected J.D. Vance as his running mate. And more specifically, a report in the Washington Post that said Usha Vance was upset with Trump over the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Usha Vance told Fox that she has grown to understand Trump since then. Jim.
Brian Todd, thanks so much. Joining us now for more, former Trump White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. Good to have you on. Thanks for taking the time.
It's good to be here. There are word salads, and then there are word pretzels, Jim.
Yeah,
I mean, she's going to really, she could probably win a gold medal in gymnastics at the Olympics with the word pretzeling. But
yeah, I mean, I
ahead,
imagine you're talking there not just about trying to explain away her criticism of January 6th, but also childless cat ladies, which, let's be frank, it's got a deplorables vibe to it in terms of its durability in this race. Has she successfully defended those comments by the vice presidential nominee?
No, she hasn't successfully defended it. And obviously she's over at Fox giving the interview to the base where it more or less doesn't matter. And so, no, she hasn't successfully defended it. But I think where the real trouble for them is there are conservative women that don't like the commentary, and there are conservative women that like reproductive freedom. And so, they're in trouble. They know they're in trouble, and that interview didn't get them out of trouble.
I mean, Trump's strategy was in part to win over some suburban women to make a difference, but also to win over black voters, Hispanic voters. And it just strikes me that his wife is trying to explain the cat's comment, but no one's trying to explain Trump's questioning Harris's racial identity I mean, the only commentary you get is focus on the record, but there's no one saying either trying to walk that back or explain what he really meant. I mean, if there's been anything, there's been doubling down. Can you explain that?
Well, he won't allow for that. So he doesn't like ever apologizing or ever recalibrating any statement that he's ever made. I've only seen him do it once, and that was after the Access Hollywood tape. He waited till midnight, and then he taped an apology to his wife in the campaign. So if you went to Donald Trump after that and said, hey, you probably shouldn't talk like that about Brian Kemp, he would steamroll and bully you. If you went to him and said, wow, you really shouldn't talk like that at the National Association for Black Journalists conference, he would steamroll you. So there's never any walk back on Trump. I guess they're just what they're trying to do. And this is, Trump is also a strategist. He's saying to his team, let's just neutralize J.D. Vance. It doesn't matter anyway. People are voting for me one way or the other. He's got to get back to a neutral rating, meaning he's right now a net negative. Find a few ways to get him back to neutral and let's move on.
I mean, yeah, he's well in the red when it comes to negative ratings, almost historically negative in favorability ratings for a vice presidential nominee. You mentioned the comments about Kemp over the weekend. I just want to play those again in case folks didn't hear them. Have a listen.
But Kemp doesn't want to end it because he's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor. Little Brian Kemp, bad guy.
So Brian Kemp, he's attacked before, by the way, and paid a political price for those attacks, did he not? I mean, even when you look at the Senate races there, which Republicans lost, does this put him in danger of losing Georgia again?
Well, listen, it doesn't help him in Georgia. I've got a lot of friends in Georgia, a lot of emails and texts over the weekend basically saying, I'm starting, and they're Trump supporters, I'm starting to get your point about Donald Trump. I think the governor really has to ask himself something. He's got to look in the mirror and say, okay, we have this very dishonorable, lying, very bad for our party human being at the top of the party. Am I going to just be a sycophant of his and tweet out things like I did on Saturday night saying, hey, I support you and stop picking on my family? Or does he pick up the phone and go hard at Donald Trump and then issue a very hard statement like back up? And so I think he has to do that if he wants to lead in the future. And so he may think that he doesn't have to do that. And lots of our politicians are equivocators, and I get all of that. But Trump is burning down the House, Jim. And so what I mean by the House, it's the GOP, the party of Lincoln, the Reagan party. He is an arsonist that has burnt down the House. And if Brian Kemp's going to stand there and say, here's more gasoline, I'm here to support you in Georgia after you ripped me and my family, I don't know how emasculating you can ask someone to, how emasculating it could be for somebody than that. So I hope he reconsiders his view of Donald Trump after this week's activities.
We'll see. There have been others who made that same compromise, as you well know. Anthony Scaramucci, great to have you on. Thanks so much.